Miracle at Camp Friendship. Chapter 3. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No more surprising things happened, and we were on our way to the mountains and Camp Friendship. It was going to be a long trip. "Why did the luggage have to go in the back?" questioned Booker. "I was looking forward to sitting on one of the back seats. That's where the boys always sit. When the bus goes over big bumps, we bounce up and down as if we were on bungee cords. I figure the road up the mountain will have lots of bumps." "Well, the idea was to balance the load better and not have the bus bouncing up and down so much," explained Mr. Thriftmore. "It might be fun for you, but it's not good for the bus or for the springs in the seats." "Okay, I guess we'll have to find something else to do so the trip won't seem so long." "I agree. An idle mind is the devil's workshop." It was Pastor Gentle in characteristic form. "Maybe I have some ideas." "Maybe?" I believe he had appointed himself to see that we were not bored on the trip. Maybe he remembered how long 2 hours on a hard bus seat can be. At any rate, we were soon merrily riding along. Mr. Frenson, baseball cap firmly planted on his head, was whistling some spirited tune, and Miss Content was twittering with the 4 girls. Miriam Peace, the only girl from Harmony to come on the retreat, was now getting better acquainted with Susie Selfwill. It was obvious Susie had claimed Miriam's company for the trip, and, as it turned out, for the whole weekend. Pastor Gentle and Mr. Thriftmore stationed themselves in the middle of the bus, with the boys. "Did you bring any special camping gear, J. Michael?" Ronnie asked. "I brought a flashlight," answered J. Michael. "It's a nice one too. My dad bought it special for me for this retreat." Talk about flashlights. Racer and I chimed in together, but Racer finished. "You should see the one Reginald brought. It has a regular flashlight on one end and a flasher on the other end." Reginald smiled modestly from the seat behind. Mr. Thriftmore asked, "Did everyone bring a canteen? You will probably need one if we go on a long hike." "A little fishing line and a few hooks are also useful," added Pastor Gentle, before anyone could answer. From his pocket he pulled out a little plastic box and rattled it. It was then that Racer pulled out his super sport. Talk about gadgets. It had a can opener, knife, fork, spoon, file, screwdriver, and even a saw blade, among other things. Dad lent it to me for the weekend. He always carries it with him when he goes on surveying trips. "With this, a person can survive in the woods for days," he boasted. "Yous guys act like you're going to get stranded in the woods or be camping out for a week. All a person really needs is a compass," bragged Ronnie. He was always crowing about something. If you have one, you can't get lost. That is, if you know how to read it. Then he pulled a closed fist out of his pocket and showed us a small pocket compass about twice as big as a silver dollar. It didn't look like anything special to me, but he was guarding it as if it were some special treasure. "See," he said, "I have a compass, and it's a good one. My dad gave it to me. He showed me how to read it too. I'll never get lost in the woods, as long as I have it with me, and I'm always going to have it with me." That compass was very important to Ronnie. He came from a broken home, so he didn't see his father often. Naturally, a gift from him would be prized. I understood, since I had no father at home either. My dad passed away when I was just 5, but I did know something Ronnie didn't know. The promise of my Heavenly Father that He is a father of the fatherless. I also knew I'd be with my earthly father again some day in heaven. Pastor Gentle decided it was time to change the subject. "Say, have you fellows ever played the alphabet game?" Hapford piped up. "You mean the one where you find words on signs to match the letters of the alphabet?" "Well, I was thinking of a little different version of that game. We'll call it the retreat alphabet game. This is how it goes. I say, I went on a retreat and I took an air mattress. Now the next person has to remember what I said and add one more thing for the next letter of the alphabet. Yuzi, AC, you be the next one and we'll go around." My friend AC has been pretty quiet until now. He had been to Camp Friendship once before with his father and grandfather. For some reason he wasn't as excited as the rest of us. He perked up when we started to play the game, though. I went on a retreat and I took an air mattress and a blanket, he said with enthusiasm and a pleased smile. Very good, commented Mr. Thriftmore. He went next. I went on a retreat and I took an air mattress, a blanket and a canteen. It wasn't as much fun as softball, but it wasn't as hard either, and it did make the time pass. By the time we reached U, V, W, X, Y and Z, we had gotten the girls' attention. They were trying to help us with all kinds of gestures, which weren't any help at all, really. Finally, Hapford came up with yo-yo, and Reginald finished with Zax. What in the world is Zax? Accused Ronnie. I think you just made that up. I don't mean to be objectionable, answered Reginald with total confidence. That guy has quite a vocabulary, as you can see. I assert that it is a very suitable word. He reached into his pocket. I just happen to have my pocket dictionary. Look it up for yourself. I wondered if Ronnie even knew how to use a dictionary. We all waited to see who was right. I don't know why. No one ever wins in an argument. Ronnie did know how to use a dictionary. Oh, it's here. But why couldn't you have come up with something simple? Something like a zinc ointment. That would have worked. And zinc ointment could come in handy on a retreat. Not bad, I thought. But as I said, no one wins in an argument, and the feelings I had had about Ronnie were not very kind. How could I ever show him God's love if I didn't have a loving heart and attitude towards him? With the game over, we sang a few choruses. Then we stopped to get out and stretch and have a little snack. Getting back into the bus, we definitely were more comfortable and felt like napping. Forget that. We started up the mountain road that led to Camp Friendship. Not straight up, mind you, but winding up. I never have handled those around and around, up and down, winding roads very well. What bothered me even more was how at certain spots the edge of the road just seemed to drop off into nowhere. The girls squealed at the dizzying view. I wanted to squeal too, but I couldn't let on that I was a little nervous. I just moved to the other side of the bus, the side away from the drop-off. There were guardrails along the drop-off, but I still preferred not to look. Instead, I swallowed hard and concentrated on my side of the road, the side closer to the side of the mountain. There were signs, so I read them instead of looking on the other side and down into the valley, which was dropping farther and farther away. Deer crossing. Sharp turn. Look out ahead. Should we stop? Called Mr. Frenson from the front. No way, squealed the girls. Yes, countered Reginald. He was truly enjoying our precipitous situation, as he called it. Hapford slid into the seat with me. I don't think he felt comfortable by the window either, but neither of us were about to show our squeamishness. What time I am afraid I will trust in thee, I kept quoting to myself, and I read some more signs. Thankfully we did not stop. No littering, no guardrails, watch for falling rocks. There were a few places where the rocks and a part of the bank beside the road had been washed down. We have been having a lot of rain lately. I scarcely noticed the sign. Mudslides. Finally the landscape levelled out. Right away I saw a sign that said Camp Friendship, and it had an arrow pointing to the right. We had arrived at our resort, retreat.